The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Guardian Radio Today is brought live. Burger King, the Cleveland Clinic, Commonwealth Bank, Epic Battery, Janae's Uniform Center, Popeyes, Print Masters, Ron's Electric Motors, The Shoe Depot, and Wendy's.
And welcome to the Tuesday edition of Guardian Radio Today, August 19th. Yes, the summer is almost out of here, and but it's still hot, right? We pray for all of those who may be affected by Hurricane Aaron. We pray that it continues to go out to sea. But those people who are being affected, we keep you in our prayers, and we pray that the hurricane season just remains quiet, right? That's our prayer. I am happy to be here with you today. My name is Dr. Cleveland W. Eneas III, also known as Kahun Anku Sarah. For those of you who are not on the radio, we welcome those of you who are listening via Cable Bahamas on channel 969 or on BTC Flow channel 622. We're also streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com, and we're going to open in about 20, 30 minutes, right? I want you to bear with me for a second, well, more than a second, but today's show is a question that I think, bears us really taking the time to ask, right? Is a service economy serving us? Is a service economy serving us? And I want you to just, like I say, bear with me, because we're not really talking economics per se. We're talking about how the economy is affecting the social fabric of our everyday lives, right? So the economy is definitely affecting the immigration reality in our country. The economy is affecting. I was listening to some of the previous shows today on Guardian 96.9 FM, and I see the taxis and the liveries, like they having their dispute or about how to deal with this, how they deal with the tourists, etc. Right? And forgive me, I haven't been paying extreme close attention, but I pray that they do. Because ultimately, we're living off of tourism and finance, but it wasn't always that way. It wasn't always that way. I'm going to read today an article by my good cousin, Dr. Right? This is from Friday, July 21st, 2023. This is in the Bahama Journal. All right? It's Bahamian agriculture and historical perspective. All right? I want us to understand how important agriculture is and how it can turn this country around if we utilize it the way it produced, right? So the story of agriculture in the Bahamas has not been told in its entirety. Agriculture's historical role is closely tied to the socio-economic development of the Bahamas. At one point, it was the main employer of Bahamians, earner of foreign exchange. Keep that in mind. Powerful politicians sought its control because they recognized its economic power and its importance to the economy. This is agriculture now, right? The yields from Bahamian soil sustained a colony whose physical resources were extremely limited, yet great wealth was generated from it. With new knowledge and technology, it can again become a pillar of society, but its potential must be understood and appreciated before it can be realized. If we don't understand the reality or the potential of agriculture, then we can't realize it. All right? This is going to touch on crime. This is going to touch on immigration. This is going to touch on a lot of different things. So bear with me. Bahamian agriculture series of changes over the centuries. Yet the Bahamas is mired in a situation today where it depends on others to feed its people and visitors. Until the 20th century, with the advent of tourism, the Bahamian economy was referred to as having a fishing village type economy. We used to be a fishing village type economy. This outlook prevailed because Bahamians existed socially and economically from the land and the sea. Post-World War II created a transformative socioeconomic and political environment that minimized the role of indigenous food production in our country. We don't need the land no more. We ain't want to do that no more, right? We want to do some new things. When Columbus arrived in the Bahamas on October 12, 1492, he met indigenous people growing food to feed themselves and eventually the Europeans. The Arawaks, the Taínos, and Lucayans are recognized as the first group of Bahamians. The Europeans met a society in place. They didn't discover nothing. They met a society in place. It's very different from the one he had left in Europe and an ecology that had never envisaged or experienced. In his book, Dr. Godfrey Eneas, right, Agriculture in the Bahamas, all right, Eneas describes the environment as follows, right, and he goes into the various types of trees that we saw. The culture Columbus encountered has its foundation in the environment in which the first Bahamians existed. The Europeans experienced a subtropical climate with abundant marine life, turtles, turtle eggs, conchs, etc., etc., etc. I'm just perusing the article because it's long, right? He goes on to say, right, early European settlers had very little option but to adopt the production system of indigenous people as their food was derived from three sources. So they didn't really know how to grow no food. They had to do whatever we was doing, or Cayans or the Taínos were doing, right? But they had shifting cultivation. This was based on the creation and maintenance of Conuco, where starch and sugar-rich foods were grown. Then there was garden plots for kitchen-type crops. Then there was hunting of wild animals and birds, and fishing provided meat along with collecting of wild plants and fruits. Then you had the loyalist agriculture for 250 years plus. Agricultural technology in the Bahamas was stagnant. Loyalists came with their slaves and introduced the labor-intensive system of pothole farming. The technology has defined food production in the southeastern Bahamas and remains today the dominant farming mechanism in that region of the Bahamas. So the Loyalists played a part in how we are growing food even up to today. They brought with them the slave crop cotton that differentiated us from the Southern Caribbean, where sugarcane was the slave crop. Bahamian slavery was more aligned with the slavery in that of the Caribbean. The biggest impact of the Loyalists' arrival was the change in the ethnic makeup. The arrival resulted in the Africans becoming the largest ethnic group in the Bahamas. Dr. Christopher Curry talks about this in his book. The name's escaping me, but in his book he talks about these black loyalists that they were calling them slaves, but that's a whole nother show. During the fishing village era, the Bahamas was a global exporter of vegetables, fruits, and a range of marine products. From the sea dealt with fishing, wrecking, and turtling. From 1841 to 1938, right, sponge was an important export commodity for the Bahamas, the sponge of money. And by 1935, the Bahamas was the third largest global producer. It was a significant employer of men, and during the peak of its production of 1.5 to 6,000 men and boys were hooking sponges on the Great Bahama Bank. The Loyalists made their presence felt in the southeastern Bahamas with their cotton plantations. There was a cotton boom between 1785 and 1788, 3 years. This was exceptional as a commercial cotton production had taken place in the Bahamas prior to the 1700s. By 1787, British merchants purchased 500,000 pounds. Fertility issues with Bahamian soil set back production, as well as pests like the Chenille bugs and poor weather conditions due to the hurricanes. Then you had pineapple production peaked between 1885 and 1895. By 1900, some 75,000 cases of canned pineapples were sold on the global market. However, competition from Hawaii and the introduction of the McKinney tariff in the U.S. inflicted a 50% increase. This also curtailed citrus and tomato exports to the U.S. as well. So we see the tariffs playing a role today in the economy of America right now with Donald Trump. During the latter part of the 19th century, from 1887 to 1890, early 20th century, 1920, sisal and hemp cultivation increased. So now you have sisal and hemp. So he was growing hemp. Okay. In one instance, Joseph Chamberlain, Secretary of State for the Colonies, managed a 20,000-acre estate on Andros. Sisal and hemp production was profitable until the early 20th century. We was growing hemp. It was growing hemp already. All right. 20th century agriculture, the Caribbean entered the world scene as the Sugar Islands after gaining a reputation as the locale in the world where sugarcane was grown by African slaves who were victims of the transatlantic slave trade. This was the world in which, as agriculture dominated Caribbean economies from the 1500s to the second half of the 20th century. The second half of the 20th century would usher in a new era of agricultural development in the Bahamas, as loyalists would bring new technology to the southeastern Bahamas. Florida offshore growers would bring to the Pine Islands of Abaco, Andros, Grand Bahama, and western New Providence. In the 70s, the Bahamas would invest in a land resources survey. The survey identified some 200,000 acres of land amenable to mechanical cultivation with high production capability. In conjunction with the outstanding land capability for mechanized food production, freshwater lenses of 300 feet in depth have been identified on these Pine Islands. That's important. Freshwater lenses 300 feet deep, all right? Distinguishing features that separate the islands in the southeastern Bahamas from the Pine Islands. In South Florida, around Homestead, there is the same kind of pine forest, Pinus caribe, as found in the Bahamian forest on the Pine Islands. Also located, did y'all know that Abaco and Grand Bahama are the Pine Islands, all right? Also located in Homestead is the Subtropical Research Station, where the system of land preparation was developed to make the pine forest amenable to mechanical cultivation. This scenario, food production capacity of the Bahamas, as it would enable Bahamians to bring more than 200,000 acres of pine land into production. Unlike the technology used by the loyalists, which was labor intensive, the new form of food production will be mechanized, hence enhancing the competitiveness of Pine Island agriculture. During the 60s on Abaco, Owens, Illinois, the lumber company, strayed into sugarcane production after divesting itself from the lumber industry in which it had been engaged for decades. Florida offshore growers sought refuge in the Bahamas to grow winter vegetables and citrus because of the frost conditions in Florida that inflicted millions of dollars on Bahamas opens its doors, pay attention, the Bahamas opened its doors to these growers and hundreds of Bahamians were employed. So Florida having frost, they can't grow. They need some place to grow their crop. We open our doors, right? Owing to the heavy demand for farm labor, the Bahamas government provided the growers with work permits to employ Haitians. Let me read that part again. Florida offshore growers sought refuge in the Bahamas to grow winter vegetables and citrus because of the frost conditions in Florida that inflicted millions of dollars on growers. So Florida, they won't grow food, they won't grow citrus, they won't grow vegetables, but there's a frost in the Bahamas then, right? Because they don't have frost like us, right? The Bahamas opened its doors to these growers and hundreds of Bahamians were employed. Okay, good, we get some jobs. Owing to the heavy demand for farm labor, the Bahamas government provided the growers from Florida, the Florida offshore growers, right, with work permits to employ Haitians. So now we're bringing Haitians in to help us with this. This led to the huge Haitian population in Abaco because companies like Bahamas Citrus Growers with 5,000 acres under citrus production and Winter Vegetable Grower, Gulf and Western in Norman's Castle North, all of these large operations required farm labor for planting and harvesting. So Haitians became the source of farm labor in Abaco. They came with the work permit. This situation was not as acute in Andros and Grand Bahama, Abaco. So Abaco have the Haitians coming in with work permits. They are helping to grow citrus and vegetables. Almost done. The number of farmers had declined to the crop acreage dropped to 50,000. Sorry. Let me make sure I didn't miss something. Sorry. It's an epilogue here. All right. Right? So Bahamians, as inhabitants of these islands from pre-Columbian times to post-World War II, relied on the land and the sea. We have no tourism. We had the land and we had the sea, right? So from pre-Columbian times to post-World War II, we dealing with the land and the sea. The second half of the 20th century would usher in a new socio-economic and political era. It would be the era that would transform the Bahamian economy from a fishing village type economy to a service economy. So my question is, service economy serving us as Bahamians, right? We went from a fishing village type economy to a service economy, one driven by tourism and financial services. That's where we are today. On the other hand, between the second half of the 20th century and the first 2 decades of the 21st century, there was a collapse of the agricultural sector. We ain't checking for that no more. State of the sector. In 1978, the Bahamas conducted its first census of agriculture. One of the outstanding features of the census was the revelation that 4,217 farmers had cultivated 89,565 acres of crops and employed 9,717 farm workers. Okay? That's in 1978, they had that revelation. 16 years later, when the second census was taken, there was a dramatic, right? There's a dramatic change now, right? We can see how agriculture is now, it was not as important, right? The number of farmers had declined to 1,727, all right? So before that, you had 217 farmers. And by 1994, it had dropped to 1,727. And the crop acreage had dropped to 50,249 acres. All right. Before that, it was 89,565 acres. So from 89,565 acres all the way down to 50,249 acres. And then only 6,933 people were in Porto, and that was down from 9,717 farm workers. So from 9,717 farm workers all the way down to 6,933 were employed in the sector. So from 1978 to 1994, you had this drop. 2 major factors were in play owing to the transformation of the economy as Bahamians were migrating from the Family Islands to the urban centers of Nassau and Freeport. In 1980, the urban population represented 75% of the total population, only 25% living in the Family Islands. Next, the urban population was 86%, with the Family Islands being inhabited by only 14% of the population. So we ain't checking for land no more. We ain't checking for sea. We got to go get a job. So we come into Freeport, we come into Nassau. All right? So now we got this competition. So when I listen to the taxi drivers and the tour companies and I see how we squabbling over this tourist money, right? I asking, is the service, and I ain't just talking about them, I just mean in general, right? They kind of at the top of my mind because the story was just news today. But it ain't just them. Right? The crime, and you think about how we operate in this country, fighting for this financial and this tourism money, right? We leave the land alone, we leave the sea alone. We move out of the Family Islands. We come to Freeport, we come to Nassau, right? To fight over this little bit of money, right? All right. The Bahamas had become an urban society. We moved to the cultural sector. The agricultural sector became a victim of public policy as a result of the World Trade Organization's trade liberalization policy. So there's 2 things happening here. One, we're moving out of the Family Islands, we're moving to the urban, but then you also had outside influences that's also affecting the agricultural sector. The agricultural sector became a victim of public policy as a result of the World Trade Organization's, the WTO, right, their trade liberalization policy. In 1986, at the Uruguay round of the General Agreement Tariffs, the GATT is what it is, the acronym, right? John Block, the Secretary of Agriculture in the Reagan administration, made the following statement. I want you all to pay attention to what this man said. He said the idea that developing countries should feed themselves is an bygone era. What you trying to feed yourself for? They should better ensure their food security by relying on U.S. agriculture products, which were available in most cases at lower cost. Don't grow your own food. You could depend on us. We could grow your food. Isn't that where we are today? I mean, bringing in $1 billion a year of the same U.S. agricultural products and from other places around the world, right? For the Bahamas, this ushered in the notion that it was cheaper to import food than grow our own, thereby putting food in the hands of food importers rather than farmers. So the food importers controlling our food, not the farmers, not the businesses, the food importers. And whatever they bring in, that's what we can eat, right? And you wondering why cancer sky high. We wondering why sky high, right? We're not eating from the land. We're not eating from the sea, right? We got people poaching in our waters because we don't want the food, right? I'm not saying people don't like Bahamian food. I'm saying sometimes we got to slow down and figure out how we cut off our nose to spite our face. And people to just import it. No, man, if we had enough people growing food on the family islands, you would have the jobs. You wouldn't be fighting over. I'm not saying get rid of tourism. I'm saying you could feed the tourists, right? By 2020, there were no commercial in operation. Commercial poultry production was gone, as well as food processing factories or large to mid-sized crop and livestock farms. So here today in Abaco, they got to let people go. They say they can't sell the chicken. Now people talking about the price of the chicken and all of that, but that's a whole nother show. But the reality is these people saying they gotta let people go because they ain't able to sell enough chicken. As much as we like chicken in the Bahamas, they can't sell enough chicken. The people who growing the chicken in the Bahamas can't sell enough chicken. Wow. The task ahead for the agricultural sector of the Bahamas in the remainder of the 21st century will be a very challenging one. Rebuilding Bahamian agriculture will require a combination of factors and elements. Again, this is Bahamian agriculture, an historical perspective from Friday, July 21st of 2023, the Bahama Journal, and is written by Dr. Godfrey Eneas. Okay? Our phone lines today, 323-6232, 325-431-4259, and of course in the family of islands, 242-300-5720. We got a caller on the line. Brother Kermit, let's patch that caller through on Guardian Radio today with your host, Dr. Cleveland W. Eneas III, also known as Kahun on Kusara. What say you? Is the service economy serving us? Caller going once.
Hey, great, how you doing?
Hey, great, man. How you doing?
Hey, Randy Chief. Hey, quick question, right?
Mm-hmm.
I find it quite disturbing, right? Why can't we grow limes in the Bahamas? Why are we importing them from Mexico and places like that? You know how expensive limes are in the food store?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let me read this.
Second thing I want to ask you, right?
Uh-huh.
We consume more fried chicken than anyone else probably in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, we love chicken.
Yep.
How come a chicken farm can't survive in Nassau? Remember we had Gladstone Road Farms and I think Golden Isle Farms or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
How come we can't survive? How come we can't have a farm with chickens in Nassau? How come every time someone opens up one, the business would just die down? I don't understand that, but we consume so much chicken.
I agree. I do think it has something to do with what I read earlier. It says, the agricultural sector became a victim of public policy as a result of the World Trade Organization's trade liberalization policy, right? In the Uruguay round of the General Agreement of Tariffs and Trade, the GATT, John Block, remember that name, John Block, Secretary of Agriculture in the Reagan administration, made the following statement. He said, the idea that developing countries like the Bahamas should feed themselves is an anachronism from a bygone era. Man, you all used to do that. You don't need to do that no more, right? They should better ensure their food security by relying on U.S. agriculture products, which were available in most cases at lower costs. So now we have this idea that, hey, it's better to just bring it in. It's cheaper to bring it in. So now if I want to start a chicken farm, guess who I competing with? I competing with the United States. I competing with Brazil or whatever other countries we're importing these chickens from. That's why they can't sustain themselves. When we had pineapples being shipped out of this country to the United States, they put tariffs on imported pineapples. The pineapples and the tomatoes they got a 50% tariff. So now they're going to be more expensive than what was being grown in the United States. They protected their agricultural sector. We are throwing ours to the side by saying, hey, let's just bring everything in because it's cheap. It's clear, caller.
That's crazy, though.
Yeah, but this is what we are
That's also counterproductive.
It's counterproductive, but these are things we need to be bringing to the fore as these people asking for our votes.
Serious thing.
You
All
see?
right, then.
Yeah, my brother. 323-6232-325-4316. Of course, in the family of violence, 242-357-20. Caller, you are on Guardian Radio today. Is the service economy serving us? Caller going once. They there? Kermit? I see the line lit. All right, call us back. So the caller that got through recently, he asked a very important question. I mean, we eating chicken, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But we don't have no major chicken farms, right? This revelation of how we basically, we kind of threw away our agricultural sector has a lot to do with the socioeconomic reality that we're in today. Let's go to the caller, Kermit, here on Guardian Radio today. Caller, is the service economy serving us? I can hear you now.
All right. I just calling on this topic. Tell Sean this is my kind of topic.
Good, man. What you say? What you saying?
I hear what you're saying with the past. And you got to learn from the past in order to go forward for the future.
Yeah.
Joseph, it start off with agriculture. Even when farming start, agriculture in place, and you be just. But I was trying to show my boy by Kings and Queens Barbershop. I don't know if you're familiar with Calvin.
Come on, man, of course.
I used to work there, you see?
Yeah, man.
And I was trying to tell him something about the National Farmers Insurance, because we getting the tax. We got VAT, right? We get VAT put on us. But there ain't no benefit to us. Matter of fact, we ain't even showing, infrastructure. But if we have like a farmer's tax insurance, like National Farmers Insurance, that's where you could balance the money, balance the book. Guys could go there on a farming scheme right here in our islands, not in Florida. Right here in our islands, pick up the check, maybe once every 2 weeks or whatever. Keep the farm going, get the factory going, get our fruits, our native fruits on the go, bring back all our daily tree, our super fruit, sour sop and all that. We could have all them on the market, and we eat better, and we live better. Leave you with that.
Yeah. I think what you're suggesting is a great idea. The only problem is we don't have an agricultural sector. We importing everything. We're not putting any real emphasis on agriculture whereby farmers could make a real living off of agriculture, right? Everybody moving to Nassau, everybody moving to Freeport to survive, right? And we're not, I don't want to say supported, but the idea of us actually having, I know Bamzi is there. I know people who've tried to get the agricultural sector back to where it was, but it just seems like as if there's some type of status quo in place that says we could just import it. I remember years ago speaking to a gentleman. At the time, he was pretty high up in customs, right? And at the time, I might have been working at Goodfellow Farms, right? And I was talking to him about what I wanted to do, having a farm and growing food and feeding not just Bahamians, but even feeding the tourists, sending food to the hotels, which some farms are doing, but not at the level that it could. We could realize it at a much larger extent, to a much larger extent, right? And so I was telling him, how I felt about it, and he listened to me. And when I finished talking, he said, "Son, let me tell you something." He said, "The way this country is built, it's best you go get some land or somewhere outside this country, grow your food there, and import it." And I said, you serious? He said, yeah, man, that's the way things go. This is the way the country is being run. Right? And so when they came, right, this article is 2 years old now, right? I really wanted to stir things up and put this back into the public domain, because here we are in a society where we're trying to figure out what's happening with our young people, right? Our young men, they killing up each other, right? We don't make guns, we don't make bullets, we don't even make knives in this country, right? But somehow they get into the hands of our young people, right? But we so focused on tourism sector, which again, I'm not saying we get rid of it, but how well is it serving us when many of the people that are in the predicaments that they're in cannot access these industries at any major level? Now, a lot of, you have people who graduate and they go on to do the Bahama host course, and they end up going to one of the hotels to work, and you could make some money doing that. You could make some money doing that. And again, I'm not knocking that as to say to get rid of it. But I'm asking us today, we have 100,000 square miles that we call the Bahamas. We're not utilizing it. We're running to just a couple of islands. Most of the people in the family islands are not, benefiting from this service economy that we have. So when we come back, we're going to run back to the phone lines, I got some text coming through we're going to run to. But I want us to really think about the reality of us earning it by the sweat of our brow. We say we're a Christian nation, right? The reality of how we're going to earn is not working, in my estimate, effectively. Keep it locked here to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Back right after this.
When it comes to hearts at Cleveland Clinic, you can't miss a beat. You seek the best care possible, work with the brightest minds, and leave no stone unturned to get to the heart of the matter. Funding is always the first step to overcoming. For every heart in the world, see how we're advancing the future of heart care at Cleveland Clinic today.
It's time to upgrade the way you enjoy at-home entertainment. Alive Fiber is here. Enjoy all your favorite channels and streaming apps, all at lightning-fast internet speeds with affordable bundles, and it's only a click away. Visit www.alivefiber.com to sign up now. Stay connected, live your life. It's good to be alive.
This week at Shoe Depot, you can buy 2 pairs of shoes and get a third pair of equal or less value at 50% off. Yes, that's right. Buy 2 pairs of non-net price shoes and get a third pair half price. No need to throw away your hard-earned money this back to school. VAT is taking a summer break, so all our shoes are VAT-free. It's perfect for all those school shoe purchases, tennis, and maybe something for yourself too. Stop by Shoe Depot in Golden Gates Plaza or Palmdale Plaza today and save.
And welcome back to Guardian Radio today with your host, Dr. Cleveland W. Eneas III, also known as Kahun Anku Sarah. We're talking service economy. Is the service economy serving us? Just read a wonderful article by Eneas from July 21st, 2023, Bahamian Agriculture and a Historical Perspective. Of course, if you want a copy of that article, I'm sure you could go to Jones Communication and probably get a copy of it. But essentially, some of the main takeaways from me is that As far as immigration is concerned, I remember I had an opportunity to work in Abaco for a couple of years, and many of the people that I worked with were Haitian. Now, of course, the idea that is placed in our minds is that many of these Haitians just, come here illegally and don't leave. But no, that's not the case. The article talked about how the growers in Florida who wanted to grow citrus and grow other vegetables here in the Bahamas, they were allowed to have work permits to bring in Haitians to do this kind of work, especially in places like Abaco. Furthermore, we've been following the policies of the WTO and other ultimately is suggesting that we not grow our own food, that we just import the food at a lower cost, right? So let's run to some text, right? This text says, they cannot be serious about agriculture. Feed availability at the mill is not consistent. Not consistent is in capital letters. The feed availability, so you trying to grow your farm animals and the feed ain't there. It's not consistent. Furthermore, this text says, Crown land is mostly given to political cronies or churches. It's sad when most young people only trying to get into Atlantis or Bahama. It is very sad, because imagine if you were teaching level where you could actually be sustaining yourself instead of trying to run around here robbing people and doing foolishness. This next text says, good afternoon, Pastor Uncle. Hope you're having a great day. I surely am. Let me tell you why your topic is so on point today. With the way that the world is moving with AI and robotic industry within this decade is going to be no more. This is what the text is saying. However, people are always going to want and need food. So if we invest in agriculture, we can secure the Bahamas for years and generations to come. So again, that's another prong. That's another prong in this discussion. This reality of AI, right? And how many jobs are going to be lost to AI, right? Now, as to when, things are going to change dramatically, that remains to be seen. But it's coming. Let's not wait till it's here to decide to do something about it, all right? I see a caller coming through. Let's run 236-232-325-4316, 325-4259. In the family of islands, 242-300-5720. Of course, our text lines are open, 422-4796. And, of course, standard text rates do apply, and they are powered by BTC in radio today.
Uncle, how are you, sir?
I'm well, man. Thanks for calling.
Good. So I, first of all, commend the minister, the award ceremony they're having.
Oh, that the Guerin Awards? Excellent.
But one thing I disagree with, the method by which they said you should nominate yourself, which makes no sense. So everybody who's in various sector should have a business license.
Yeah.
And they should be filing their VAT if they're eligible to do so, right? So they can use that criteria. So if you in business and you filing the VAT and they know how long you've been in business with your license, you won't have to nominate yourself because they have historic data.
Yeah.
On they know who's doing what.
Yeah.
And they can go back in with the license ticket. They can see what kind of turnover you're doing.
Yeah.
So they're going to get a committee who's going to sit in the room and the people's going to decide who's doing what. And it's not. And I don't think it's done on merit like that. Because if you have the license, you can check the license. Who in the sector in each category, right? You can see the numbers and you can say we nominate you, not you should nominate yourself.
Right. Because we see the work you're doing.
Yeah, we see it because we have the data. It's proven. You're filing your VAT. You're getting your business license. We know you've been in this for X, Y, Z amount of years. So I think maybe they want to handpick the people who they want to reward. And the people who they're doing the work, perhaps they overlook.
Wow.
That's my view.
Yeah.
But thanks, man.
Yes, thank you for calling. In the article that we just read, what Dr. Godfrey Eneas was saying was that the state of the sector in 1978, right, is when the Bahamas conducted its first census of agriculture. I don't know if this is continuing on as far as us. Now, I know there are numbers on farmers. I am a registered farmer, right? I haven't updated my registration, right, because of land issues, right? But in any event, I think at one time, I'm guessing that's just probably 2 or 3 years ago, it was maybe 700 wrong, right? Or someone could text in the updated numbers, right? But when we started to do these, the first census of agriculture, one of the outstanding features of the census was the revelation that 4,217 farmers had 9,565 acres, and they employed 9,717 farm workers. This was in 1978, right? But by the time, as they say, the second census was done 16 years later, right? I don't know why it took that long, but in any event, it took 16 years for the second census to take place. And by that time, the numbers had dropped drastically, right? The number of farmers went down to 1,727 farmers, right? 16 years earlier, you had 4,217 farmers. Well, that's because your economy is shifting to a service economy, right? The number of acreage went from 89,565 acres all the way down to 50,009 acres. And the amount of people working for these farmers dropped from 9,717 farm workers to only 6,933 were employed in the sector. So we officially, pushed this sector to the side because we just wanted to have a service economy, right? Caller, let's get to the caller. You're on Guardian Radio today. Is the service economy, is it sufficient? Is it serving us? Or do we need? Go ahead, caller. I can hear you now.
Good afternoon. How you doing, sir?
I'm well.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I remember, I'm football, right? I remember in the 1980s, it might have been 86.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows, remember him?
I've heard the name.
He's a Minister of Agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
There was a news star where he said that, I think they were growing some kind of onions, and he said we were going to be self-sufficient or we were going to lead to that day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like, that's almost 39 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So my thing is this. The Bahamas is very much Americanized, right?
Yeah.
We're too Americanized.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, I don't know if they don't want to do the hard work, but it may just be that they don't have the capital to really invest in what they need to invest in. Because you can't farm today and just put potatoes or onions in the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a game plan in order to try to do these things efficiently so you can make some money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to take, it can't just be the government doing it, It got to be the government, it got to be the private sector. They got to come together. Because if you look at the United States, those foods, they don't grow those foods properly. They don't got a pesticides in the food.
Mm-hmm.
They're not natural stuff. We can grow our stuff naturally here, but it got to be an effort on both ends. The government and the private sector got to come together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can do it because we have the land.
That's right.
The Bahamas has over 5,000 square miles
Mm-hmm.
of land. 400,000 people. So definitely we can feed ourselves. But I think it's going to take a considerable effort with the government and the private sector. Now, who leads, I don't know, but we need to get together and get it done. Because I know we can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right?
I appreciate that.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for that contribution. I definitely agree with the caller. I'm not sitting here screaming at the government, not by any means. I think that the Agrarian Awards is a great start to having these types of comments. I think there are people in government that are trying to push for this sector to get the type of attention it needs, not just from government, but from we the Bahamian people, right? And so I applaud the Agrarian Awards. Of course, they talked about how they're doing it. And that can change over time, right? But at least they've gotten it started. Let's run back to the phone lines. Kermit here on Guardian Radio today. Caller, you are live.
Yes, good afternoon, Uncle Sarah. How are you today?
I'm well, man. Thanks for calling.
I think the family start from the primary school,
Definitely.
It'll be a great initiative because guess what? All the kids that goes to primary school, high school, junior school and high school, all of them are not, illiterate and certain. So a lot of them are good with their hands, right? If they have a chance at a second trade, except for the commercial languages, at least they have a chance to survive in life.
Yeah.
And this is something that we look like we're afraid of because at the end of the day, the larger countries are telling them to feed ourselves.
You see that?
But they want to feed us with those type of foods that they got. That a lot of stuff that comes from certain countries are rejected in their country, but they're being sold here in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And we have a great opportunity, Uncle Sarah, to start an initiative on the street with a little incentive.
Yeah.
We'll get involved in it because guess what? We got the Maas land, right? But it's on land. It's a good opportunity for young people to have ownership instead of just being workers.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for your contribution. I know that we've had in the politicals who assisted with some of the backyard farming kits. All right. I haven't heard much about the follow-up, but maybe that's something we're headed in the right direction, right? But we need a little bit more help. We need some people supervising these projects and assisting with those people who just, you might not get it right the first time, but you don't give up, right? But we're talking agriculture today. We're talking the service economy. We're talking socioeconomic effects of not being as agriculturally sound as we could be in this country. Keep it locked here on Guardian Radio today. We're going to run to the news and be back right after this.
Shop early to get your uniforms and catch Janae's Uniform Center's buy 4 get 1 free sale. Free monogrammed and regular school shirts, dry fit and cotton polos, PE shorts, underclothes, tights, socks, neckties, belts, sleeping mats, hair accessories, and character work desk. Get 50% off backpacks, lunch bags, and raincoats. Buy 4 school shirts, get 1 free. Buy 2 skirts, jumpers, or pants, get the third 50% off. Need embroidery and monogramming done? Visit Janae's Uniform Center early. Beat the back to school rush. Janae's Chesapeake Road back to school special. Restrictions apply.
Tell them.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Great news! Ron's Electric Motors' new location on Cowpen Road, right next to Island Luck, is open Saturdays and Sundays. So for those needing repairs on electric motors, welding machines, water pumps, battery chargers, electric lifts, transformers, and power tools, Ron's Cowpen Road location can have you up and running on weekends. Don't forget, you can still visit Ron's Electric Motors on Wolf Road and Claridge Road, and now Ron's new location on Cowpen Road. Dial 356-0249 or 323-5267.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.
For fast, reliable, and impactful printing services, look no further. Let Printmasters bring your masterpiece to life. We stand by our quality products that is second to none. Our affordable pricing and friendly, efficient staff makes Printmasters the ultimate choice for all your printing needs. We can deliver any type of printing services, from banners to booklets to business cards. You name it, we can print it.
Let Printmasters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
And welcome back to Guardian Radio today on 96.9 FM. I'm with your host, Dr. Cleveland W. Eneas III, also known as Kahun Anku Sarah. Is the service economy serving us? Is the service economy serving us? We ran away from agriculture type economy to a service economy. We are being influenced by our big brother in the north that's saying to us, your food security should rely on trade. Just allow us to grow the food and you just bring it in, right? And so that's what we've been doing, right? We're bringing in, $1 billion worth of, right? I want to run to the text line and then we can jump back to the phone lines. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, and of course in the family of islands, 242-300-5720. Text line powered by BTC is 422-4796. Standard text rates do apply. This texter says, good afternoon. What's so sad is that we in the Bahamas will not ever get back to the point of feeding ourselves. Man, don't say it like that, man. We got to get back to it, right? The real powers that be simply won't allow it, and our leaders don't have any power backing them to put up a fair fight. We can talk all we like, but unless we have the support of the very powerful, then it's a fruitless fight, right? Pardon the pun. So that's the perspective of a texter, right? We feel defeated. We feel as if we can't do it, right? I don't agree with the texter, but I do feel where the text is coming from, right? We do have initiatives. We have a backyard farming kit initiative, right? And this started a while back, but the backyard farming kits are being distributed in the Bahamas to encourage local food production and address food security concerns, right? Organizations like the Ministry of Agriculture and Marine Resources, right? The Agricultural Development Organization, known as the ADO, and Royal Caribbean International are involved in these initiatives. The kits typically include seeds, seedlings, and tools for starting a backyard garden. All right, here are some of the key initiatives and organizations. The Ministry of Agriculture and Marine Resources has distributed nearly 1,000 gardening kits as part of the National Food Emergency Plan. So we have a National Food Emergency Plan. Okay. Now, for information to find out how well these 1,000 gardening kits are doing, and I'm saying that not to be facetious, as somebody who's been around farming, for, 20 years at least, I know farming isn't easy initially. It can become easy. It can become predictable. But initially, it can be frustrating, especially if you don't have the patience or just the knowledge of these 1,000 gardening kits, right? I could have missed it, right? I don't know if there was a report. I do see that some of the schools are producing produce. Now, of course, it's summertime, so it's really hot. We got to wait for the weather to break to get the produce back up. But the reality is there are people in the government sector that are trying to push us in this direction, but are we so far gone into the service economy that we don't even think, as this last texter said, that it's even possible, right? The Agricultural Development Organization partnered with Royal Caribbean International to donate over 400 backyard farming kits, right? The ADO has also worked with schools and community groups to establish backyard farms. These are some of the people that are supporting this initiative of actually helping the economy of the Bahamas to go back to this agrarian economy, all right, or adding it to what we have as a service economy today, all right. Let's go line. The text that says, "Good day. In the processing sector, they should look at companies' past performances within the last 3 to 5 years and help them to scale their businesses. In addition, link the farmers, new and old, to work together on the types of crops that's needed year-round to keep this sector growing." Amen. I agree. I don't think people understand how lucrative farming can be, right? When you think about farming, in many instances, people think about maybe just taking food to the food store or going to the farmer's market, right? There are, I think, all these yachts in these marinas, they just eat food, And they like farm-to-table food. I know because I've been in the business. All these private planes, when you see these private planes sitting in your airport, right? These people have the money to buy the food that you growing, right? And there are people selling it to them now, right? I ain't trying to knock nobody hustle. I'm just trying to say there's enough to go, right? All of these marinas all throughout this Bahamas, right? They need people to be growing food so that they can eat, right? Of course we need to eat. I'm not saying just grow food for the tourists, right? I'm saying if people are not incentivized enough by feeding themselves, which I mean, that's enough incentive for me personally. But if people are not incentivized enough for feeding themselves, guess what could actually make some good money, right? Growing microgreens or growing produce, right? Growing things that don't ship well, right? The chefs in these hotels, the chefs in these restaurants, they prefer fresh food over the imported food. All right. Let's go to another text. Uncle, I just went to a food store deli only to find dishes that are not savory to our Bahamian delight. Yes, we need to grow our own food and cook Bahamian again. See, this reality, we right? We have an imported tongue. We eat foods that are highly processed, that are not fresh. And then we trying to figure out, well, where's this cancer coming from? This the devil ain't. No, the reality of the situation is we're poisoning ourselves in so many ways, right? By eating foods that have to travel so far from where we actually, they have to travel so far to get to us, right? Our bodies are fighting to metabolize these, and it's actually something for us to look into if we not only just from an economic standpoint, but from a health perspective. This next text says, we are surrounded by water on every island. That's funny. All right. All islands are, right? We are surrounded by water on every island and not one sensible pier to allow individuals to fish without a boat. It's the simplest form of feeding ourselves, and that is unachievable. I don't think it's unachievable. I think we have to push. We have to see, the people get leaders that they require. If you require of the leaders that we have these things, they will make it happen. You understand? You have this next general election come in, they banging on your door. Yeah? Make sure they understand that's what you want. Let's run back to the phone lines here on Guardian Radio today. Caller, is the service economy, is it serving us?
Hello, good day. Yes, I was wondering when someone can come up with the idea of farming. I mean, I can't understand why the government can't see we are able to feed ourselves, but they just need to empower the people to get them to be able to do it because we can't do it.
Yeah.
My grandfather was on the Eastern Road, and he was supplying so much people with jam, live animals, everything.
Wow.
They joking, man. The government need to do something. We need to get a group together to rally and fight for this because we need it.
Let me ask you this.
This is a need.
Let me ask you this.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you so much, caller. I don't think a lot of people are aware of what the government has been doing, right? These backyard farming kits, 1,000 or nearly 1,000 rather, right, have been a part of this National Food Emergency Plan. The government has a National Food Emergency Plan, right? We got to be aware of what the government is doing, you understand, and get a part of it, right? Because if not, then the government is working in a silo and we're living in a silo and we're not functioning, right? That's why this conversation is so important today. Let's run back to the phone lines here on Guardian Radio today. Caller, you're on Guardian Radio today. What say you?
Uncle, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This conversation is one that is being had in the most recent times.
Mm-hmm.
We realize that if the pandemic has not served a notice on the Bahamian people that if we do not to grow our own foods, store our own foods, then we will indeed, because we depend on other people around the world to supply our food sources, we need to now start again taking this hands again ourselves for sustain and survival.
Yeah. I agree with you, caller. The conversation, we got to keep the conversation at the forefront of our
the private sector to do it, but no, I think it's a PPP, if we could do it like that. You know, that we are able to fish our waters, produce canneries around this country where we can process and can the various species of marine life that we have here, not just to produce it for our own consumption, but also from an economic national standpoint to begin to grow our economy, not just from tourism, but also now industry. And we are not hearing sufficient conversations such as this in our parliament. That is quite frightening. You know, we keep on, you know, they say lays the golden egg. But what happens when that golden egg turns brown? Then what happens? We have to now begin to look at different ways and, you know, God has blessed this country with arid land as well as our marine resources. And I don't think we're doing sufficient as a people to sustain ourselves with the all around us. We can do it. Farming has been something that has been going in this country from even the 50s. 50s, 60s, 70s, we had an abundance. In fact, we were so abundant in crop growing that we even started it in Florida with the crops. You know, when are we going to get back on our feet to do things for ourselves and stop depending upon foods from all around the world? Started, and it's up to us now to get our young people back engaged into it. Yeah, it may be a dirty, long process, but it has to happen if we're going to sustain ourselves as a people. But that's all I wanted to share today.
Thank you.
I continue to listen to the other conversations that other people, especially those in the agriculture industry and those also in the fishing industry. I want to hear what they have to say in terms of their livelihoods and how we can push this country forward, upward, and onward. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you so much. I want to share something before we go back to the phone lines, all right? In Jamaica, right, there's a company, Grace Kennedy, a Jamaican company, right? You buy the Grace products, right? Operates in the food and financial sectors. In 2022, they experienced strong revenue growth with a 10.5% increase to 142.9 billion Jamaican dollars. The food division saw strong revenue and profit before the tax growth. The division achieved top-line growth, but experienced, they say, a profit before tax decline compared to 2021. I'm reading this because you have brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, right, that are making multi-millions of exactly what we're talking about right now. This is not something that we cannot achieve. It's something that's very doable. It's very doable. All right, let's run back to the phone lines here on Guardian Radio today. Caller.
Uncle Zara.
How you doing, man?
Namastu,
my brother.
Well, yeah, GN and Grammy Boy back on the horse. I was down for a couple of days.
Okay,
but,
glad to hear you.
I want to really, Jeff, my brother Jeff, it was hitting in the air on all the cylinders, all green lights just now, as well as some of the other callers.
Yeah.
See, Uncle, you grew up in an atmosphere and the profession that you are in, Grammy, tell the truth. Shame the devil and tell the truth. What we are running, Uncle, we are running a failed state. And it's getting worse. So you have politicians I could come and throw in open little $50 here or the little 1,000 thing seedlings that you say a project that's supposed to assist us. And when you look around it or behind it, there is absolutely no push, no support. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because I have one of those 1,000 things here, still in the box, that it came in.
See, this is the question. Let me
they pick up from one
pause
shop
for a
or
second. Pause for a second. Let me ask you: when they gave you the backyard farming kit, were you at any point trained on how to do and say go for broke?
Well, they were on shows, and I like to do things like that. And I called the show, one or two of the shows, and I gave my name, my number. And when they finally got around to getting to me, I had no training. But prior to that, I was telling the receptionist and the persons involved that I'm visually impaired. I would love to do it, but I'm going to need assistance.
Yeah.
All they could come bring the box, put it on me, and go on and tell me they can send somebody back to them. That was a couple of years ago. The box right here.
Wow.
I can give it back to them. See, the problem is, Uncle, Bahamians, we need to understand. We need people that we send to do our bidding in the House of Assembly that believes in you and I, that believes in us.
But they believe in you. They give you the farming kit. They say we believe you can do this.
They give me the boat and put me on the ocean, and he give me the article with it and a little bit of water to drink. That's what I'm talking about. Don't give me nothing because you want me to vote for you come next election, and then you forget. I need you to believe in me. Yeah. I need you to give me that box and come check on me once a month.
My Lord.
I need you to give me that box and assist me with certain things.
And they can employ farmers to do this.
Give me that box so I can own that. We can own that industry. That you're assisting.
Thank you so much, man. I got to run to some more callers. I appreciate you. Caller who said he got one of these kits, man. So we need a phase 2. We need another phase to this operation where we can get some farmers to assist with people who got these kits and they don't know what to do with these kits. Lines here on Guardian Radio Today. Caller, you are live on Guardian Radio Today. Is the service?
Yeah, Uncle.
Go ahead.
How are you doing?
I'm great, man. Good to hear your voice.
Yeah. Let me just say something. Disclaimer. My wife and I just sat down.
Did y'all get a farming kit?
No.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. What happens is what we do is we kind of depend on people who do the farming. And we just had one on whole issues.
Yeah.
That she and I had a full conversation on because she challenges me. She's of that Gen Z generation.
Yeah, she's brilliant. I met you right before. She's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. And she keep questioning my sanity in engaging in these type of discussions.
Yeah.
Right. So, but when we start talking about like the farming industry and what it is, right? The problem is we are trying to manage what we cannot measure. And so you said you cannot measure that you cannot manage what you cannot measure, and you cannot measure what you're incapable of acknowledging, right? So when we start talking about this food security and food sovereignty, those are two different things, okay? And so even for those countries in the world, like the only country in the world out of almost 200 that has ever can arguably say they have reached full self-sufficient country is Guyana. And that is both in food sufficiency and self-sufficiency, or what they call food security, and in food sovereignty. Now, often what happens, Guyana's achieve food sovereignty, but one can question their ability to what is food? I'm missing the two.
Security.
Food security is being able to feed your people for an extended period of time. Food sovereignty is producing that which you need to have food security.
Okay, so your infrastructure. Yes.
Right. And so Guyana is the one that has the self-sufficient country. Okay. Then you have these other countries like Vietnam, China, Latvia, Estonia, Romania, Spain, South America. I think you got Peru, Argentina, Brazil, and Africa is only 3 countries, I think. Jill, Cameroon, I can't remember the other one. And then you have these what they call key challenges and regional gaps, right? So yes, the problem that we have is that when we begin to look at the food groups, right, that they say that we need for food efficiency or food security, you have the fruits, you have vegetables, you have the legumes, nuts and seeds, starchy staples, meat, fish, dairy, whatever else they have on that list. We have to then begin to look at what percentage of these that we can produce to bring with the sovereignty, and then what can be the volume we can sustain to bring the food security. But you could actually have sovereignty being able to produce all of these things.
But
then you may not have the food security to say you could continuously supply them for 6 months or 18 months or whatever the cutoff time is.
If we're being influenced by states that's telling us to base our food security on trade, right? That's now a distraction for our leaders.
Right, but I'm saying to you, I don't see it's correct, right? But it's a distraction for the fact that we can establish food security by trade. And what I mean by that, if we were to get cut off like we say we did at 9/11, can we feed all the people in the Bahamas? Forget the tourists. We like to talk about these millions of people. I'm talking about the 400,000 people. Can we feed them for 3 months? Can we feed them for 6 months? Can we feed them for a year? That's the food security.
Yeah.
Now, we have been duped into the food sovereignty argument to simply say we don't need to produce that what we need for food security. By producing is your food sovereignty, saying you don't need nobody else to produce it. And that's the question we've never
answered. So they are part of the infrastructure. They are part of the infrastructure. The people who we can trade with are part of the infrastructure.
Right. But just let me slow this down right there. I say to you, fruits, vegetables, the legumes, nuts, seeds, starchy staples, meat, fish, and dairy. You don't have to do this. You say, this is the amount we need of these things on a daily basis. This is what we need for 6 months being cut off, a year being cut off, 18 months being cut off. Okay, good. That provides us with the food security. On a daily basis, we can claim we produce all of these. But we say if something was to happen, we can never produce enough of these over a 12-month period because these are supplemented by outside. When you begin to produce any of these for whatever period of time you determine, you now can claim food sovereignty to sustain your food.
We got a couple more callers. I appreciate it.
But let me say this. Until we get leadership that can differentiate the two and actually provide statistics so we can have directed people into these and have a strategy that we could preserve fish or dairies or meats and other staples and stuff for a long period of a time. And just like how the U.S. said they give the cheese, they first in, first out. They just keep producing. And we say we can run and it becomes part of our social safety net. Then we're talking about leadership that understands both sovereignty and security.
Thank you so much.
And other than that, we're just talking, giving people...
We got to require this of our leaders. We're going to run to a break here on Guardian Radio today. Keep it locked here on 96.9 FM. Back after this.
Chicken lovers, listen up! Popeyes is serving it up for you! Get 5 pieces of juicy, hand-battered, bone-in chicken for just $10. That's right, 5 pieces of Louisiana-style flavor, fried to golden, crispy perfection for only $10. But don't wait, this deal won't last forever. Head to your nearest Popeyes today and grab your 5-piece for just $10. Popeyes, where the chicken's always worth the hype. Available for a limited time only.
Now let me see now. 326 EPIC. Hello? This Epic Eckert Battery. This Miss Beulah from around the corner. I hear you're selling tires now on Wolf.
Praise the Lord. It's about time. I live Fox Hill and Fire Trail. It's too far.
That ain't all. They open Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. On Sunday and holiday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
My brother Sam, he's a hacker, and he could go right there and get fixed up.
Call us at 326 EPIC. We ship also to the Family Island.
You try to rest, but roll with the best. For all your printing needs, there ain't no one better, no. For posters and banners, magazines and flyers. For window decals, greeting cards and newsletters. No job too big and there's no job too small. You name it, we can print it. Just give us a call. Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302. Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
And welcome back to Guardian Radio today with your host, Dr. Cleveland W. Eneas III, also known as Kahun Ankusara. The service economy, is it serving us? Or are we in need of the fishing village type economy? You know, can we have both type at the same time in our economy? This texter says, we're going to run to the phone line in a second, but this texter says, I'm not sure if you realize the key part of what you said. I was talking about how you can service these private planes all across this country as they need food, right? People don't know how lucrative farming is. No, they don't. Looking at all the yachts and private planes, they need food. Amen. This is going down the same route as 1, housing, and 2, land. Right, which is quote unquote, look how much we could sell this to the rich white people for, unquote. It's the death knell of feeding ourselves, because every farmer with sense will start modifying their crops and adjusting their prices for the high net worth market. Dex, I with you. I've seen it firsthand. The average Bahamian cannot afford products grown in the Bahamas. The chicken farm just told us we can't sell enough chickens. Bahamians can't afford it. If you raise the tariffs on imported food, Bahamians still can't afford if you raise the tariffs on imported food, Bahamians still can't afford to pay the price of labor, agricultural supplies, and crop insurance. The U.S. government heavily subsidizes U.S. farmers. Will the Bahamian government give heavy subsidies to farmers to feed our nation? Let's run back to the phone lines here on Guardian Radio today. Caller, you're live on Guardian Radio today.
Good afternoon, Uncle.
Yes.
Yeah. 2 quick points.
Mm-hmm.
I see the 2 taxi now getting ready to strike. He said they're going to block up the bridge.
Yeah.
And close down the airport. Which is a very bad thing in this day and time.
I agree.
You know, they should sometimes come to some agreement or reason it out and stuff like that, because, you know, if you start doing this, people may say, oh, you can. When we take action and do these things, we can see what is going around the world. Stuff like that now. You know, they have to be very careful. My other point is food. Why can't I go in the food store if I'm hungry and come home quick, go buy a can of curry mutton or curry chicken and stuff like that? I can go buy a can of beef in the food store, beef stew and stuff like that. You see, do we really want to do it? Do we really have the leaders that will really want to do it, to go out? I remember Abaco used to be one of the largest navel orange. Something going wrong. They said I had a bug, and they do the trees them. I don't know what's going on. And they shut down everything. Glaston Farm, they shut down everything. Marigold Farm, shut down everything. I don't know if the more money, the more food we buy from away, if somebody is getting the benefit of it. But because you get Exuma and Andres and all these places, and you tell me we cannot grow our food. All we have is, the people to do it.
Yeah. The food importers, yes, thank you so much. The food importers are the gatekeepers of our food, not the farmers. And the food importers can hold us hostage. All right. I was speaking with a local entrepreneur, right, that owns one of the fast food chains, right? And they had a product that they were purchasing from one of the local food importers, right? And let's just say, I'm going to give an arbitrary price. Let's say they had locked in a price of $90 per case of whatever they were buying, right? And they budget around purchasing this item for, let's say, $90 a case. And the next time they go, so they purchase, let's say for the week or for the month, or however they buy it. And the very next time they go to purchase, this is a real story. The very next time they go to purchase this item, the item has doubled in price. Okay? Doubled in price. And what can you do about it? If you don't farm, or if you don't then have to step outside the country and bring in things for yourself, you have to find a way to get around the type of stronghold that is on the Bahamian people right now. You understand? They even run a business in this country because we don't have the proper farms to support even the local businesses right now. All right? Let's run back to the phone lines. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. In the family of islands, 242-300-5720. Caller, you are live on Guardian Radio today.
Yeah, blessed uncle. Give thanks.
My Lord. How you doing?
Yeah, I was following the food industry for a little while, Monsanto seed, dictatorship, et cetera, et cetera. I'll try to make this quick.
Yeah.
I stopped eating chicken because it's finger licking and I still can get stricken,
Yes.
So we need to do a meta-analysis because everybody can get sick. But I thought the food we put in our mouths. One question is, I would like for somebody in seed banks, like for native fruits, like soursop, tea leeks, et cetera. If they have seed banks. Because I really was looking into like seeds, like how to preserve seeds, right? I have my own personal seed banks, right? But the thing is, Uncle, I'm looking at the seed dictatorship and the monopolization of the food industry versus seed. They're patenting seeds now. So you understand where I'm coming from, right?
Yep.
And so I'm wondering if the government is mindful of this. So it would be hats off to them even to pass out the food going. You said backyard garden initiative, right? But a lot of people are not knowledgeable about how to grow food because I used to sell trees and they would say it's so small. And so they now would have the confidence that they could actually nurture it to maturation. And so the government must be more prudent with the marine industry as it relates to food because humanity will lose its passion once foods become ration. And so as civilized as we think we are, once food becomes ration, which is the staff of life, true character will emerge for survival and the struggle for life. And you know that and I know that. And so let's look at
Lord of the Flies.
the auto flowering seeds, which they have advantages and disadvantages. And so as an engineer, they call them rudder rods in the cannabis industry. So these are designed to harvest within 9 weeks. So they obviously will have the advantage over the other grower who's doing, you see what I'm saying? So that's only one way of science being used by capitalists to control whatever. And so you talk about NAFTA, GATT, et cetera, and now the WHO. But in early literature, like back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, et cetera, they actually showed you that they would use trade as one of the mechanisms to unite the world along with other global dilemmas in order to unite the world and give excuse for global governance, get rid of sovereignty in nations. So it's all about really control. One thing I'll get in quickly is if you show people the mechanisms of operation in the food industry, they will be more inclined that, and you realize that pesticides, herbicides, they are supposed to stop using them 3 weeks before harvest. See what I'm saying? So nothing is really natural like that unless you're growing it yourself. Give thanks.
Yes, give thanks, my brother. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Caller, you're live here on Guardian Radio today.
Yes, good afternoon, brother. And cool water stuff with you.
Yeah, my brother. Same to you, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I agree with everything to do this when I say do this now. It's all about that control thing and stuff like that too. But it's all about that leadership thing. Like I think C. Allen and a couple other callers that mentioned. But when Jeff was talking, because that's not the first time I hear Jeff talking about Cannon stuff and things like that. I don't know how familiar Jeff is with Maurice Bishop and Grenada. You know what I mean? I mean, people need to go and look up Maurice Bishop and Grenada. That was an example of true leadership because they said they went around and they saw how many mangoes and stuff used to be wasting on the ground year after year, so they decided to can them. And not only that, they went around and they had government officials going around trying to educate the public on nutrition to try to get them to get rid of flour in their diet. The white flour in their diet. I mean, it was comprehensive.
Yeah.
But, whenever you're doing things...
Say the name again. Maurice
Bishop.
Bishop, okay.
Grenada.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with him, I think, you'd be impressed.
I can check him out.
Look it up and see the story about Grenada. But, whenever you're doing positive things like that, you know what I mean, you can't be around, so Maurice Bishop had to go.
Wow.
That kind of way. So they got rid of him. But the whole thing about the whole fucking matter is that what we need to discuss on is why. Because you asked the question, is the service industry serving us? And the answer is no, because it wasn't meant to serve us, but it is serving who it was meant to serve. That kind of way, I mean, because Mr. Lang had a show one time, and he was talking about the education system and stuff like that. And I was telling him that our education system that the system requires. That's why the education level is so low, because all we need is service workers. I said in Germany, they have a different education system because they're about technology, so their curriculum is based on the type of industry and the kind of country they want to build. You understand where I'm coming from?
Yep,
So our people need to understand that our government will not ever invest in farming because that's not a part of the plan. MP does not really mean member of parliament. It means middle people. That's my new definition for MP. You understand where I'm coming from? Because we are not supposed to partake in those things because farming is so basic, Anku.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And so lucrative.
So basic, so lucrative, and also so necessary, Anku.
Yeah.
You understand? Because here you have it. The ground doesn't charge you any money to grow food, so you can grow food for absolutely free, right? But people put you in a system now where you don't really provide that food for yourself, but you go and you slave for them so you can purchase something that grows free. You understand? You give up your freedom to go and work to buy something that you could grow for free.
My Lord.
Do you understand? And then with the whole backyard farming thing, again with this, the whole backyard, the thing which you said they was handling those kids. Not everyone has a backyard adequate for farming, Anku.
That's true.
You know the kind of way. I mean, sunlight is very important, and some people don't. Some people can't get that sunlight in their backyard for various reasons, right? But you said that they was going to use that as a means of some type of food security, or right?
Yeah.
But in the Bible with Joseph and Pharaoh, it wasn't that type of handing out backyard thing. It was a national movement, whereas they prepared food and stored it up for an emergency. So if there's any kind of plan for any kind of national, food shortage, it should be a national issue. The government should be moving with that. You understand where I'm coming from? There's no excuse, Anku, why we can't have farms and stuff all over this world. I just told my father this morning, I look in the yard, he's growing some sugar banana. Man, Anku, you need to see these sugar banana. He's growing, and plant 1 or 2 suckers in the ground. You know what I mean? As simple as banana.
Wow.
You understand where I'm coming from?
Wow.
And so why is it that our government cannot partake, like you said, in something that is so lucrative, something that is so necessary, and something that is so basic?
Yeah.
You understand where I come from? We, the people, need to push these people to make sure they do these things, man, because in the end, when catastrophe falls, it will be us who starving looking for food.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. We got to run to a break, and then we'll get back to the phone lines here on Guardian Radio today. Keep it locked here on 96.9 Guardian Radio.
He is the king of crunch. The man set your taste buds on fire with the new King Crunch sandwiches at Burger King Nassau. Crispy fried onions, pepper jack cheese, and bold chipotle sauce. Plus, fixins cover a crispy chicken patty or 2 flame grilled beef patties on BK's new King Crunch sandwiches that are bigger, better, and bolder than anything around. And they're only available at Burger King Nassau. Try one today.
Running low on summer funds? Squeeze every drop of fun out of your summer with a Fidelity personal loan. From backyard upgrades to family getaways, Fidelity is here to help. Call 356-7764 today.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
This is how we do it.
Get ready to kick off the new school year with a bang. It's the Guardian Media Group and Rotary Club of South Ocean's Back to School Jamboree. Friday, August 29th in the parking lot of the Nassau Guardian in Oakesville, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Join us for a day of fun, games, and back-to-school excitement. We've got something for everyone, from bouncing castles and face painting to health screenings, hair grooming, and giveaways. Meet some of your favorite local businesses and get ready for the new school year with all the essentials. We'll have school supply vendors and local eateries with delicious treats. Don't miss out on the fun. The Guardian Media Group and Rotary Club of South Ocean's Back to School Jamboree. Friday, August 29th at the Nassau Guardians parking lot, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's the perfect way to celebrate the end of summer and get excited for a great school year. See you here.
Brought to you by
Island Wholesale, Splash of Sunshine, Purity Bakery, Celestial Treats, Sun Oil, Lowe's, A&N's Kitchen, Delrona Mackey, Lumber and Snack, Precious Curry, Robert Russell.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
And we're back here on Guardian Radio today. Let's run straight to the text lines. I am 71 years old. This is from an elder texting, right? I am 71 years old, grew up in North Andros. I can remember in the 50s and 60s, there were 4 farms I visited and lived. There was the lumber farm. We supplied all types of lumber to Nassau and South Florida. Twin Lake Farm, S&M Farm, and Parker Farm. The last 3 farms supplied from poultry, livestock, fruits, and vegetables to Nassau and South Florida. Plenty of people don't know Andros had the first drive-in theater in the Bahamas. Producer, you know, we gotta look that up. Huh? First, from the 50s up to the 60s, I was going to drive at the lumber farm in North Andros. So this is a 71-year-old texter. We appreciate your contribution today at today's show. I'm going to get to the caller in just a second. I just want to read one more thing so that we're all on the same page. The Bahamas has implemented a national food emergency plan, okay, primarily in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and Hurricane Dorian, focusing on enhancing food security through production and distribution of food. See, the government doing it. We need the people and the government now to get on the same page. This plan involves initiatives like the National Food Distribution Task Force, the Emergency Food Plan, Layer Production Program, and the distribution of backyard gardening kits. All right. Key elements of the plan are the National Food Distribution Task, the Emergency Food Plan, Layer Production Program. All right. The backyard gardening, the hydroponic systems, the support for farmers, and reducing import reliance. So this is the reality of what the government is doing. I got one more text, and we're gonna go to the phone line. All right. All right, my phone is doing a number on me. Let's run to the phone line here on Guardian Radio today, and then we'll hit the rest of the text. Yes. Caller, you are live on Guardian Radio today.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes, go ahead. You're live.
Yeah. Government doing things, you know. So they ain't trickling down in the people the most. But we still going in these places, bringing these wholesale things, and man, they're coming from the States. And when you go there, when they all the things, they tell you they're the way for trailers. You know what amount of trailers coming here with products? All products they offer, because they take a little while to come. If you pick something from last week, it take 2 weeks in the trailer to come down this way. What you think will happen to us when it reaches here? You understand what I'm right?
Yeah.
So we ain't getting no fresh food inside here. Yes, the government doing a little backyard farming, giving out this and that and all that. But come on, man, we need to go on a big scale, man. This nigga be up sun all the time. You know what I mean? People be growing just about anything in this country. But see, they don't want that. They into that money where you want you pay that duty and that tax. They looking that's what they looking at.
That's the service economy. Yes.
And the farmers the farmers die out. They had all them old farms. They had the business wasn't making no sense of why. I can let my daughter or my son them pass this on to my daughter and son.
Yeah.
Cheap, I let them go to be a police officer, or lawyer, and thing.
Yeah.
But she was supposed to in the States they pass them down. You get them young. The youngest one who riding. The youngest one riding a tractor. You understand where I come from? But they make it in a way for us to discourage us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Discourage us. From the pandemic, I end up going to being I green thumb, man. I mean, I go anything I do, it just come up, and I like to grow peppers. But I plant everything in my yard where every season I could go and eat.
Yes.
I don't go and buy them pretty plant and everything and all that, but you can't eat all them. Most people them get a yard full up with all these bunch of stupidness. And they can't eat nothing in the yard.
Full of grass and croton and things that you can't eat. Yeah.
I go to the place to go buy me. Sometimes I would go and buy pepper tree or something like that, if I want to catch it right away. Go and see people them get a whole big trolley full of loan, different type of plants and things and all this. A lot of mercy.
Yeah.
I hope she have something to eat. I guess they eat the edible plants. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I appreciate it.
We need to take this serious in this country, man. We need this farming thing need to be, and see that it's discouraging the young folks. It's discouraging people. You know what I mean? All them land you have in the family, island, man, you're supposed to be with pumping, watermelon, lobes, them, strawberry, man, they could do everything.
That's
and
right.
hydroponic, man, we could, once you get the hydroponic system, you could go best with anything.
Yeah.
You understand where I come from?
Thank you. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
BTPI, they're building a new BTPI. They need to have one part of that just for agriculture, man. They're talking pure active producing. I mean, produce anything.
Yeah.
But you can limit a lot of people in the farming, you know. But it's farming goes so deep. You need to know how to control them insects. You need to know the pH of the soil.
Yep.
You need to know I study all of them. I even sell the little things. I sell the little devices where you put inside in the soil and tell you it's the plant acid, need more acid, acid or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
See, all that go deep, you know. Anyone can throw down a little seed in the ground. But they ain't realize if that soil is
it's a science. It's a science. I appreciate your contribution today, and that last caller leads me to I guess one of the solutions I feel that I'm sure may be on the table, but we need to keep working at. I think the government needs to align with people such as the last caller, people who've been farming, people who are part of the farmers database, and employ them to assist with helping those people who got the backyard farming kits. All right. I think we want to do the right thing. I think the intention is there, but we gotta probably add a few more phases into the end product. Right. We want people to grow food, but they're gonna need a little bit more help. Maybe we need to focus on community farms before we focus on backyard farms. Because if you got a community farm, people can come in the community that are serious and learn about the community farming. And then those people who are found to be serious, let them get backyard farming kits, right?